What's up, guys? This is SuperKamiGuru9000 and this is my review of Bleach chapter 447. Oh yeah, you know what? This is just another one of those special chapters. Another special chapter where Ichigo gets to do nothing. That's right, nothing. And you want to know why? That's because that character that we saw at the end of the last chapter, Yukio, that little kid, yeah, he used his PSP and sucked up Ichigo into it and put him into this dark void of a saved world death. Needless to say, if there was one thing to say about Ichigo, it would be game over! Most of the chapter after this is spent with Tsukishima, who just confronted them, and now that Ichigo is confined to the PSP verse, he's not going to be able to get him. And apparently he's been surrounded by all these other Fullbringer guys. That chick even comes in with this weapon called the Love Gun. That sounds kind of wrong. But besides that, you know, it's pretty obvious this is what we typically see. He's outnumbered, so he decides he's got to hightail it out of there. But one of the most interesting things in this chapter was we got to see Inoue. She went to the hospital to visit Ishida, who, of course, was injured by one of the Fullbringer guys, probably Tsukishima. And this is when they both find out that they've both been attacked by the same group, and they both realize something's not quite right. Something is amiss here. And is it just me, or in this chapter, does Ishida look a lot like Nanao? Yeah. Anywho. Oh yeah, and you know what? Tsukishima gets the crap out of there. He knows he can't take all these guys. And this is when we get to the next portion of Ichigo's training. They basically, Yukio lets Ichigo out of his little PSP. And this is when they're going to begin his phase of training. You see, his abilities apparently can cancel out Reiatsu, or their spiritual energy, which will be good, which I assume is going to be for, you know, being able to control his full brain. And Ginjo states that he's going to need Yukio to do that, but he's going to start training with Ichigo, and I imagine it's going to be, you know, sword-to-sword type of stuff, typical Bleach stuff. But the best part of the chapter, I would have to say, was the very ending when you see Inoue walking home from the hospital and she runs into Chad. And they have a little conversation, and Chad basically says, "Come with me, we're going to go see Ichigo, because we need your powers to help with his next stage of training." And now it finally kind of makes sense to me. We've always sort of wondered where Inoue's powers have really come from. And, you know, she has a little hairpins that she wears, and, you know, it makes sense. That seems like a full-brain ability. You know, taking the power from an inanimate object, pulling the spirit from it, if you will. So, otherwise, it was an okay chapter, if a little drab. But it was still interesting to see, you know, that little bit of development at the end, especially with some of the secondary characters, which arguably have more personality than Ichigo anyway. But if I were to give this out of a 10, probably a 7, just because I like Bleach and it was, you know, an interesting read, and it's slowly moving the story. But I can't wait to see when Ichigo gets out of the hyperbolic time chamber and gets his powers back, and we can move on with this stuff. Well, that's it for this week, guys. SuperKamiGuru9000, Ota!